we're really excited to be speaking today to talk more about how we can leverage the power of conversation with Google Business Messages. So first, I want to greet everybody. I imagine attendees are joining us from all across the globe. So good morning to some, like myself in San Francisco. Good afternoon to many, and good evening to some of you as well. Today, we would like to speak more about our Business Messages platform. And with that, I'll introduce myself as Tina Prestino. I'm part of Google's partnerships team under business communications. And with that, we're really trying to help make conversational delightful and build more meaningful connections across brands and consumers through conversation. I also want to hand it over to Beck so that she might be able to introduce herself. And I know we have a couple of slides with our lovely pictures as we move ahead in the presentation as well.
Certainly do. Hello, everyone. Very good to be here. So my name is Beck Bright. I work very closely with the Google team on a consultancy basis, specifically working with sort of brands and partners on the conversation experiences, and really how the power of creativity can help brands take that experience to the next level, and really the difference that sort of an emotionally compelling experience may have on business effectiveness.
So as Stefan mentioned, my teammate Rob was here in the past, and we're thrilled to be here today. And our goal for the session together will be to talk about the what and why of business messages. What are the formats that exist today, and how are we hoping to expand upon them as the year progresses? Then I will translate some of these examples into a fun capability story as I walk through my commute on a typical day in San Francisco. And then we'll close it off by talking through automation and some of the best practices, some of the principles that we utilize when thinking about how to take advantage of an automated system to help users through their journey and hopefully also drive value for brands. So as we talk about messaging at a broad level, I think it's become very relevant that we now know messaging is the preferred method of communication. Not only is it appropriate for us to connect with friends and family members, but consumers are also reporting that they're more likely, 77% more likely to purchase when they can message directly with the brand. And they're 85% more likely to interact with companies that can be personalized in their messaging. Certainly, conversational commerce is a way to make this a reality, and it's wonderful to see how conversational commerce and these trends are really going to continue growing. And we're estimating, or Juniper Research estimates, that by 2025, the market will actually grow to $27 billion. Knowing that this is a demand and it's something that consumers and brands alike are really interested in, I'm very pleased to share that Google has now launched our free platform called Business Messages. Through this platform, we're able to create really delightful experiences in a personalized way that connects users with brands from surfaces that you know and love, from Google organic search results, as you can see here on the left, as well as Google Maps. And brands can also place our Business Messages entry point on any of your own first-party surfaces, whether it be web, a mobile app, or even an email marketing message. Through the connection point, the users on mobile will be taken from this chat entry point on the left into a message experience, and there we'll be able to offer a lot of rich feature sets, welcome messages, recommendation chips, as well as beautiful carousels of products. This messaging feature is also asynchronous. So if an individual wants to come back to this message, they will retain the history of that chat and can pick right back off where they left. So when we think about how this works, ultimately, customers are given entry points across a variety of methods, and then through messaging infrastructure and platforms, we're able to connect them directly to an automated agent or even to live agents in the event a request is a bit more complex and needs more assistance from a human. Certainly, Business Messages is already integrated with Dialogflow, both CS and ES, of course, part of our Google Cloud platform. But we have hundreds of partners that are bringing their own expertise and technology to integrate with Business Message and to help elevate and bring brands directly to those consumers at the moment that matters most. So here, I want to highlight and help you visualize what are some of the entry points that exist today? And Stefan had called out, we do now offer business messages directly from Google organic search results. When someone searches for a branded term, also something related to customer service, you'll see the opportunity to chat with a live agent. From local listings or from within Google Maps, we also surface this chat option. And then for Android phone customers that have the phone app installed, if they're about to call a business and that business has business messages turned on, we'll give them an option. Really, we want users to be the ones driving what path suits their needs. And if you have chat and voice available, certainly we hope that through offering this at this moment, we might help divert calls that maybe didn't need to happen and ultimately give users what they need at the moment they need it. And then to the far right, this is a fictitious example, but we do also offer the ability to connect a webhook directly on your site, again, within a mobile app, or even in any sort of email marketing materials so that you can connect with users and give them the choice of how they want to reach out. Now, the next slide is showcasing something that we're working on. So we do have a beta product in place called Click to Message Ads. And ultimately, it's surfacing the ability to chat with a brand based on the keywords that that brand identifies. Search has been extremely valuable for users and businesses alike. And now through the ability to surface chat, we're hoping to help create sort of a frictionless experience and also help elevate a brand in the consideration set when someone is looking for a particular item or they have questions. If we can help surface you and place you there at the moment of need, hopefully we'll also help create a stronger relationship between you and that brand, place you in the consideration set, and hopefully help create a really fantastic experience end to end. In the similar vein, we have also just started a beta test offering this entry point to business messages directly from our shopping property. So this is, I think, a really valuable opportunity because when users have found a specific item they're interested in, there's a very strong intent behind that. And some items, like this refrigerator here, it's something that needs a bit more sort of information before a user feels confident making such a brand purchase. By bringing that user directly to chat, we're hopeful that brands are finding the ability to answer questions at that moment of need and complete the purchase journey all within a chat experience in a way that creates value for both parties and ultimately brings us together through this conversational mechanism. So those two, keep under your hat. We hope to have more news for them later this year, but I felt really excited to be able to share that with everyone joining us today. So, since I've talked a lot about what's happening, I'd love to take you on a bit of a journey together where we are going to do, you'll join me on a commute from my home into our San Francisco Google office. I take the BART train. So as the slides progress, you'll feel like you're joining me. And as I hop on BART, I realize I can use this time to help address a couple errands that need to get done. As a busy parent who also is a working mom, I know I have to buy groceries for dinner tonight. So I search my local market to find out what times are they open and discover they do offer chat. So I choose to start a chat. And not only can I look for specific ingredients, they have this great idea, recipe inspiration, where they take me through some questions about what are our dietary needs, how many people am I trying to feed? And I find that there's actually some really great ideas, things that seem pretty simple for a weeknight. And also by clicking through, they automatically place those specific items I need for these recipes directly in my cart. So I place them in the cart, complete my order, and now food will be ready when I get home. Some brands that are live today with similar experiences include Albertsons. They started business messages in part because with COVID, there was a lot of uncertainty. They were getting lots of phone calls and they needed to address needs of customers while keeping the people in store focused on the individuals present. So this evolved and now has become a really exciting ordering experience that allows brands customers to find what they need in a way that is reducing the requirements of all the humans in the store while still getting answers to individuals who need to find things. Walmart is another great example of a brand who's been working with us now for a few years, and they are utilizing our platform to centralize information and, again, reduce call volume to stores, help add value to customers who are looking for specific inventory items, and hopefully continue the flow of getting users or customers in and out in a way that's frictionless and hopefully more delightful than it would have been prior to the chat. Okay, now that I have dinner covered, I'm thinking about the weekend and how I would really love to be able to get up to the mountains more often with my kids, but I'm very eco-conscious, and I'm thinking with the gas prices as they are, maybe I should consider a hybrid. So I look up on my phone a local dealership and identify that, hey, locally, there's this dealership that has a chat experience. I start doing some questions and searches and find they have this very fun gamified experience where I can learn about not only hybrid cars, but also in terms of electric cars, what type of charging stations are near me, what is that lifetime value of savings. And I realized that maybe electric is something we could consider. Through this chat, I'm also given the option to already move forward and book a test drive. So I go ahead and book it for the weekend. And I think this experience is something that we see a lot today in the States. We have thousands, or even beyond the US, most certainly, we have thousands of dealerships live on business messages. And we also have OEMs, including GM and Ford, who are using this experience to help connect not only to customers that are already owners of their cars and addressing their customer service needs, but also Ford has had a lot of success in helping reduce the time to purchase by, again, surfacing values of different cars, highlighting what cars might be in stock, and again, reducing that time to purchase through that purchase journey. And we're excited to see what more we can do in partnership with not only these brands, but also some of the tech partners who are developing really wonderful integrations for booking not only services and sales, but also for those who need their cars to be serviced. So when thinking about a car, I think maybe I should consider financing and how we might go about paying for such a new, wonderful vehicle. And I search for my bank. Luckily, they offer a chat experience, and I start a little chat asking questions about how I might go about saving for such a big purchase. I answer some questions that help me identify what might address my needs based on the timeline and the amount I need. And ultimately, they then give me an option to make it, fill out the application directly there within chat or connect me to a live agent. Again, there are instances where issues are a bit more complex. So I think having both an automated system and a live agent can really address a full host of needs for any given user. And I'm pleased to share that Geico is a brand in the financial services sector who's using business messages today. They help address issues for, again, existing customers who might have a need or a question, but also they're using it to help gain new customers at that moment where they're looking for new service and a new plan, and can be there to help any given user find what they need in a way that's effective, efficient, and hopefully a little bit more delightful. I'm almost to the office now, and I realized that I forgot it was Beck's birthday. So I searched my local florist that I know does great work, and I discover they have a wonderful process available in chat that allows me to identify that the occasion is a birthday. They let me decide what price point I'm looking for. And then they highlight to me that not only can they deliver flowers today, they can also allow me to subscribe to a flower service so that this will be a gift that keeps on giving. 1-800-Flowers is a brand also using this type of service with us today. And I have had actually a couple of colleagues mention how they've used it and have had great success with the asynchronous messaging. It also could be something where in the future, if 1-800-Flowers wants to reach out and remind somebody, hey, Mother's Day is coming up in May, do you need any flowers? This could be a really great opportunity to re-engage and find value for both the brand and the user. So in summary, I want to mention that there's quite a few advantages of utilizing conversational commerce, and certainly in surfacing that with Google because of the breadth and depth of users that we have across the globe. So first and foremost, time is reduced spent in that research and seeking phase. We're also able to highlight new brands that maybe a customer wasn't aware of, but with specific needs and requests, we can highlight them and again, hopefully lead to meaningful resolutions, all within a chat experience. We enable authentication, people can log in, and we can also help move people down that funnel in a way that's far more efficient with an experience that hopefully becomes more and more personalized over time and certainly more delightful. When users feel like a brand cares for them, it certainly allows them to feel more invested and more loyal with brands. And I think we're really only at the beginning of this journey together. There's a lot more we can do. And as mentioned in the last session, I know in the US, we're limited in some ways with the exposure that we're seeing. But when you look outside into emerging markets, I think we all know there's a lot of opportunity ahead. And with that, I'd love to hand it off to Beck so that she can talk a bit more about the automation piece.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Tina. I've seen that there's a couple of questions in chat as well, so thank you so much for that engagement. We've got some time at the end, a good kind of 10 minutes or so for questions, so I might come back to you then if that's all right. For now, what I would say with all of those examples that Tina kind of took us through, they all had one thing in common, which is that they're all able to be done start to finish really through automation. And I know that kind of we're speaking to the converted here today, so we won't spend too much on this. But of course, with Google, this is a space that we're incredibly excited about and kind of really interested in testing pushing the boundaries on. Automation for us is almost like the ultimate brand ambassador at scale. It's cost efficient, it's reliable, it's consistent, but really important, it can kind of ever evolve according to how real people are interacting with your conversation experiences. So keeping it very, very brief, really, it's all about taking the strengths of a live team, so namely the ability to deliver really exact information and queries in a bespoke and personalized way, really furnishing people with the specific information that they need and qualifying them for the next part of their journey. But really taking that to the next level through the power of AI. So it's incredibly cost efficient, as you guys will well know, allowing sort of multiple one-to-one conversations to happen simultaneously at any time of the day outside of working hours, which in and of itself, reduces costs. It frees up valuable human time and bandwidth. It avoids barriers. It avoids those drop-off points that happen when you're moving people from one digital experience to another, because you're able to take somebody from discovery right through to conversion, really within the same one experience. As Tina touched on briefly, you're able to reignite conversations. So pre or post sales, conversations that have lapsed for whatever reason, really informed by how people have previously interacted. And I'll touch a bit more on that slightly later as well. And finally, of course, what this represents, you could have kind of the ultimate dream team here between a live agent and an automated experience, being able to sort of qualify leads before really bringing the human specialized specialists in to kind of close the journey off for those more complicated pieces. I'm aware that there's some of you who are going to be sort of getting your hands dirty as well over the couple of days. So we wanted to kind of say, when it comes to winning automations, there's two main things. Now, this is a bit of a cheat because under the banner of our two main things, we have very craftily done 3 sub-points, but I think you'll kind of get what we're trying to say. So when it comes to making connections that count, the first point that we wanted to make here is really all about being there when and how the consumers, the prospective consumers need you, both today and tomorrow. So Google, as will come as a surprise to nobody, always starts with the user, and really nowhere is this more true or more natural to be true than in conversation. So first things first, it's all about planning your activity, knowing the fundamental user needs that conversation is meeting, really what even the tension point is that you're solving for, and working out the ecosystem from there. Then once they have tapped through, once they've clicked to chat, the first message they see is critical. We like to think of it as kind of the make or break moment, really. It needs to reassure them that they were right to tap through and that their curiosity will be rewarded. It needs to manage expectations of exactly what they can be using that conversation for. Again, making sure that any possible barriers to them seeking what they've set out to get are removed, and of course as few words as possible. So again, the person has to do as minimal work as possible to continue that engagement. Slightly flippantly, but very true, emojis really are our friend in this scenario. So to give you kind of a very short, simple example here, and a very dry example, but just more to illustrate the point, an introduction that really simply introduces an automated experience or welcomes somebody into the experience could be something as simple as, hi, I'm EcoCars, to use one of the brands from examples, virtual assistant. Setting expectations of what it's able to do and outlining the experience can be something like, I can check your order, I can find products, I can even tell you jokes. So somebody knows from the off, what they're able to do within that world. And then offering a really, really simple path forward. So something like, where do you want to start? Just tap one of the options below. It's pretty straightforward. And again, I know that we're talking to people who are well versed in this world already, but kind of doing the brilliant basics well makes all the difference. Lastly, as we've mentioned with Google Business Messages, if somebody has engaged, a brand can reach back out within the 30-day window. Now, this could have huge potential to continue the usefulness of the conversation to the user. Obviously, when done well, when done thoughtfully, when done respectfully, and of course, avoiding anything that vaguely feels like spam, because that's not going to do anything for your brand loyalty. If somebody has dropped off pre-sale, for example, you could show them relevant offers, you can draw attention to a different area of the product portfolio, and post-sales, you can check in with their progress, you can cross-sell, you can serve them relevant content, you can get them in for services and maintenance, for example, if we think about auto as one example vertical. Lots of opportunities here to keep brands top of mind. And then the second piece here, I told you that it was slightly tenuous, our bucketing into two, but stick with me. When it comes to kind of making a connection that really counts, the second part of this is really remembering fundamentally what makes a good conversation in real life. For us, it's kind of when purpose meets delight. And delight is a word that Dina used a couple of times. And I think it's almost critical to a great conversational experience. And that should play through in the way that conversations are structured and designed. So to kind of unpack this a little bit more, questions and kind of active listening and topics should be used to quickly narrow down what's most relevant for that particular person, most relevant options, most relevant product suggestions. And we found that in most categories, of course, this changes according to complexity, but more often than not, this can be done in around 3 qualifying levels. The second part here is, that people need to know who they're talking with. They need to know that they're talking with either a bot or a human. And if they are talking with a bot, that's not to say that it needs to feel robotic. In fact, we try and avoid using sometimes chatbot as a term, because I think that people less versed in the space have some preconceptions around it. We talk more in kind of the vein of conversational assistants, because it should be the ultimate brand ambassador. You should be able to be playful with that brand tone of voice. The more compelling, the more engaging experience, the less functional it is, the more chance you have to avoid that drop off, the more chance you have of holding the attention of that audience. Lastly, and I actually think this is a really critical piece that can be much overlooked to the detriment of the effectiveness of the activity. It's really easy to overlook that this is a one-to-one interaction between customer and brand. So fundamentally, this is still a piece of brand communications and should be planned through that lens. So do loop in marketing, do absolutely, as I say, employ the brand tone of voice, do allow yourselves to get really creative with that experience. Is it a car model finder or is it a matchmaker? It could be really interesting. Do illustrate the story with visuals and emojis that help people navigate, in a quick and playful and delightful way. In short, just as we've seen with more traditional media, that the more traditional media provokes an emotional reaction, the more effective they are, especially when it looks to brand effects over time, so should conversation design be approached. So if we look at a very, very simple, and I think this is where we'll break after this bit for today for questions. If we look at a simple example here. So this is from a piece of work that Lowe's did in the States. And there's just a couple of things that we wanted to pull out from it because it's a really lovely real world example. So Lowe's deployed a refrigerator experience. Fridges, of course, are very high consideration, high cost items. So really interesting to see the role that conversation can play in that interaction. So what we love about this, really simple, the brand logo is used as the avatar. So what that means is that from the off there, when somebody has clicked to chat in what fundamentally still feels like quite a fresh and new experience with all the entry points that Tina outlined, you're immediately landing that credibility, you're landing that brand salience. And then with their welcome message, they've said, welcome to Lowe's. We can help you find the perfect refrigerator for your kitchen. Chat with one of our appliance experts by clicking the button below. They'll be with you in no time and help you find a cool match based on your needs. Ready? And then there are some options below. So super simple. It's reiterating the original intent that customer showed that led them to click to chat. So it's immediately reassuring them that they're in the right place. It's being very clear about what that specific experience can offer them. And the language that's used is really simple, really accessible. They have used emojis and they've used them sparingly, but all in all, what they've done here is just craft something that feels like a really playful, delightful interaction that is easy for somebody to jump off from and to engage with. So it's just really, really neat and really simple. And I think what we'd love to do is pause there and open up to any thoughts, questions, provocations, bills, anything of that ilk.
Yes. And I think it's worth noting, some folks have added questions to the Q&A section. So I'm happy. It looks like some things have been answered. But so a couple of things. I believe this is recorded, but I don't own it. So I will defer to Stefan on that question.
Yes,
but
it's recorded.
Great.
And you know what the best part is? After the conference, anyone could go and watch the recordings right on Zoom events. So you're already logged in and it'll be recorded automatically and you can come back and watch it over and over again. But go ahead.
Amazing. And then can Google Business Messages connect with an existing chatbot backend? Yes, we would love to connect with any bot that is existing. We do have a developer site directly from our website that's listed here, businessmessages.google. You can go there to then create a connection point and integrate with our API. So we are thrilled to welcome any and all developers to help build new and exciting messaging platforms to connect with Google customers, to brands. And certainly, I'm not the most technical expert at Google, but I can help connect folks if they are interested in finding more resources. And then there's a question here about a use case for small businesses. And interestingly, we actually have quite a few small businesses using business messages, but through our previously called Google My Business entry point that was related to when small businesses have a physical location, they can create a post for Google that allows them to identify themselves as the owner of this company. And there you can also chat directly with customers. If you have a more complex, larger business, then having a brand or a technical partner to help develop a much more inclusive, sort of automated system is something that might be required. But we're finding that even small businesses are having a lot of success with chat. I will acknowledge, though, many of them are just directly getting sent these messages, and they are directly as a human responding to them versus having an automated system in place. Though I will acknowledge, with the help of Dialogflow, we have created sort of an FAQ bot that can help connect users to more automation. That is something that's a bit more involved than just the Google My Business. Now I believe that tool is called Google Profiles. That might be correct or not. But these are things that are available. And certainly if you have questions about this, we have an alias, BM, standing for Business Messages -inquiry at Google. And we'd love to make sure, even if our time here ends a bit early, we'd love to continue this conversation directly and help get you closer to hopefully activating on Business Message. And I think there's some questions.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, guys. And you can go ahead and answer the questions because we're going to go into a coffee break anyway. So
perfect. Okay. Well, I think here, this one might be more relevant for you, Beck. How do you balance the use of emoji with needs for users who are using screen readers?
Well, I've seen that there's a couple of questions that all kind of fit in a similar bucket. So the first thing, I know that I kind of trippingly talked about emoji as a way of landing tonality. Really what that comes down to is just being very true to the brand's tone of voice. So like I mentioned, that this is a piece of brand communications. One thing that you'll hear talked about in more traditional marketing is ensuring that the brand isn't sort of schizophrenic. So ensuring that there's consistency in the way that the brand talks and acts and behaves, no matter what touch point the customer is meeting the brand. And that's absolutely the same as in conversation. So one really interesting part of this is how brand guidelines are being developed, because more and more, when you're seeing brand houses and tone of voice documents being pulled together, a piece of that is absolutely extrapolating that into what that brand tone of voice is for a conversation assistant, because naturally you have to work a little bit harder to land the conversationality in a way that is right for that brand. You're perfectly right. I saw a question around from Alex. You're perfectly right that might change. Well, of course, it will change according to the type of brand and the type of sector. So, for example, with healthcare, you're probably looking for something slightly more expert and specialist, where certain emojis won't be appropriate. Whereas for retail brands, they might more be. So more than ever, the headline there is really do what is right and true for the brand across its mediums. Screen readers, leave that with me and let me come back on that piece. That's a really interesting one.
And someone asked here, is it available in the UK? Andre, yes, it is. We are a global team, and this is a global platform, so we are available across the globe where Google operates. And excited to be there. And then I think I saw another question about a problem in the enterprise organization is gathering content from disparate systems where chatbots might handle. And to be honest, it is a challenge. I will not... It is. I think a lot of teams are siloed and customer service lives in one place. And that's where we actually got our start, where we had a lot of brands activating business messages specifically for customer service. I think we're now seeing that the opportunity to take this experience and also turn it into a sales vehicle is very exciting. I think in retail, we've seen a lot of great developments take place over time, but it is sometimes a little bit slow moving with the larger brands, because you do need to start to connect the dots behind the scenes to get customer service reps trained up and learn how to address or upsell, or how do we connect the systems? Because it is possible. In the case of auto, I know it exists where OEMs represent brands. They are thinking about awareness and consideration and helping move customers through the journey to purchase. In the back end, we can transition an OEM type high level, high funnel question conversation and do a handover to a dealership. If we can identify where is this person located, how can we get them connected to the right dealer to then take over that conversation and help identify what vehicles are on the lot, what are the promos available, what kind of financing options do we have. So while I say this is a challenge, I think there's a great opportunity available to us if we can be strategic and think broadly about what are our needs today, sort of start crawling. What are our needs of tomorrow? We start walking and then connect the dots behind the scenes to then hopefully in the future start running and see what's really plausible when we bring together all of these different skill sets across these different silos of our companies to really develop an experience that is going to delight our users and hopefully continue to also grow revenue at the same time. So I know we've gone over, and again, thank you for that. Appreciate everybody's time. I'm trying to see. Okay, so one more, I did notice actually a couple of questions regarding what sort of search terms are generating the chat opportunity, and primarily it's branded terms, customer service related queries. But again, as we're testing this new ads entry point, that's where the brand would be able to identify what keywords trigger chat. Something we're investigating as a product and engineering team. We hope to grow in this space. We don't have a predefined list of terms, but I think that American Airlines baggage question wouldn't generate the opportunity to chat, but American Airlines customer service would. So we're working on things. It will continue to grow and evolve. So again, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate being here. And thank you, Beck, as well, for presenting.
Thanks so much,
absolutely.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you, guys.